Today we're going to review whatever we covered in last few videos. So this is section 18, and basically we're looking at ser and estar side by side, and there were like 4 or 5 different rules that we needed to know. So the first one is that when a noun follows the verb, use ser. So uh, and and in that case, we're talking about so a noun following the verb, right? Um, so so basically, in this case, so when a verb to be is followed by a noun, the verb ser is used. So and we talk about A equal to B linking. So John is a doctor, and John equals doctor. So one is medico. And the second one is when the verb is followed, you're following the verb by an adjective. So la sopa está fría, right? So fría is an adjective, and basically it's coming after the verb. And the thing is, we're talking about um, making a judgment call. If you're going to use, or making a call, in fact, if you want to use estar or ser. So if you're talking about a condition or state that can change with time, use estar. And if it's a characteristic, which if it defines something, then use ser. Right? So la sopa está fría. So the soup at this point in time is cold. So la sopa está fría. So está is third person singular. And now we have another example. It says los elefantes son grandes. So the elephants are big, and that is a characteristic, and that's why we're using ser. And this is third person plural, right? So, and that's why. The third one is that so when a verb to be is followed by an adjective, the verb can actually change the meaning of the adjective. So el profesor está aburrido. The professor is bored. So talking about switching between the estar and ser verb forms. So el profesor está aburrido. So the professor is bored. So that's the condition. I mean, that's a state. That is what he is at that point of time. So it's not doesn't necessarily mean he is bored 24 hours a day. So it's just at that particular point of time, the professor is bored. But if you're talking about el profesor es aburrido, so in this case we're talking about using the self form, and the professor is boring. So that is a characteristic. That's defined to his teaching, right? He is boring. So that will not change. So that's why we're using ser, and the meaning changes. So that's what I'm trying to say, that if the adjective follows the verb to be, or if to be is followed by an adjective, if you transition between the two forms, it changes. I mean, the whole meaning changes of the sentence, right? So, and the fourth and fifth one is what is going to see right now, which is to tell where something is located. use right now use estás. So that, because the reason being that the location might change from time to time. So at a particular point in time, you might say it's in location A, and after a few hours, it is in location B. It changes, right? But if you're talking about origin, if you're talking about where someone is from, that never changes. That is defined. That is a characteristic of that person. So that is defined. That will never change, and that's why we use the ser form. And the third thing is, if you're talking about where an event is taking place, anything defined with an event about where is it taking place, we use the ser form, and that we know from section 17. It was an exception. We had an exception to the rule of where to use the ser form, and that was it on 17. Right, yeah, it was section 17, using ser as an exception. So so that is, and let's look at some examples, right? So Monica es de España. So Monica is from Spain. That's her origin. So she is from Spain. That will never change. So that is defining the person, right, where she is from. And that's why we're using the self form. In this case, it is third person singular. Es Monica está en Venezuela. That's a location. So Monica is in Venezuela, right? So at this point in time, right, when in talking about it, she is in Venezuela. So it doesn't necessarily mean that in a year from now or even a week from now she might be in Venezuela. So it is a condition. It's a state, and a state can change, right? So from time to time. So this, and that's why we're using the estar form, and this is third person singular. La fiesta es en la casa de Mónica. So fiesta means party, right? And casa is home. So it means that the event or the party is taking place in Monica's home. And the thing is that because we had this rule about an exception, um, that if we're talking about anything to do with an event, like where it is located or where the event is taking place, we use the se form. And again, we're using third person singular. So la fiesta es en la casa de Mónica. Right. So this is to summarize what you have learned. We'll be doing another review in the next video. So until then, see you next time.